Today we're speaking with filmmaker, vegan advocate, and the 21st Lord of Dunsany, Randal Plunkett. Currently, he's also supporting Heartstone Veganic Sanctuary in their efforts to expand their land and begin their own rewilding project. This is Animal Rebellion in conversation with Randal Plunkett.
Hi, I'm Lorna Ann.
Hi, I'm Juliana. How are you?
Nice to meet you, and thank you for having me.
Would you mind telling us a little bit more about your rewilding work in Dunsany Estate where you live?
Starting with a bit of history about Dunsany, my family came with the Normans, so we've been here quite a while. We're actually the oldest family still associated with one place. The estate is about 1,700 acres, of which about 500 acres is forestry. I saw the land was getting quite tired. Overgrazing and over-farming is probably one of the biggest problems we have in Ireland today. And animal agriculture is probably the worst. Land never has a chance to recover. There's never any regeneration or anything like that. So I removed all the animal agriculture. I had to make a bunch of excuses, managed to get the animals off the land, thinking that at least for nothing else, it's going to recover for a while. And it did. Actually, the first thing that happened was weeds galore. I had nothing but thistles and ragwort and nettles and all the stuff that farmers tell you, oh my God, it's dangerous, you're ruining your land. The first year, things looked good, but nothing much changed. Second year, I started seeing a lot more dandelions and thistles and all that stuff. By year 3, it was like pretty heavy. By year 4, it was declining quite a bit. Year 5, it declined a lot. We'd start seeing what used to be yellow flowers everywhere suddenly started having other things, wildflowers, different types of grass. I started seeing insects increase in numbers every year. Bees everywhere, butterflies everywhere, spiders everywhere. And then I started rehoming animals as well, because I thought to myself, like, I made a sort of like an eco protection area here. And it was, at that time, I was calling it nature conservation because rewilding wasn't really a word back then. And this was about the same time that I turned vegan. And then how can you possibly want to be a vegan and profiteer out of like animal suffering? I found that to be a problem for me. It was all or nothing. And so I decided no more animals ever again, rewilding all the way. What I seen with all the animals returning was absolutely, I was seeing it with my own eyes changing and more animals coming back. And now the problem was I couldn't get past the idea that I still wanted to save things. So I started helping with releasing animals, and we met Nia, and she was very supportive of my work. And I got really into Heartstone. I started following it on Instagram. And then I got a call from her, and she asked me whether I would get more directly involved. To which I said yes, because the truth of the matter is what makes change are all these smaller places who are doing it, who work every day, like Heartstone. I mean, there's no money there. There's nothing but sacrifice. I'm inspired because, you know what, here's someone who didn't have the benefits that I had, who's fighting every single day to protect animals who do not have a voice in our society, to uplift, not to destroy. You know, for me, that's very inspiring. And that's direct action. Heartstone for me, it's the one that I have closest to my heart because I feel the most engaged. And the truth is, it's very pure, you know. And the thing is, I feel as someone who spent a large time consuming, you know, indulging in things that really are based in cruelty. And as I get older, as I see the things around me, and I look to the future and I look at these things, I mean, how could I not really want to change the world I live in? We should be the ones empowering our environment, not destroying it. But I think that that's not an easy thing to do. It's always easy to take the simple road, but the higher road, it's harder. But I do feel that in the end, it bears the most fruit. And support comes in 3 different ways. One is promoting the concept. And this is where sanctuaries come in, because as time goes on, we might see more and more farmers turning into sanctuaries, and that needs to be encouraged. For us to really transition, we will need sanctuaries, and sanctuaries like Heartstone they're basically on the front line. You know, animals need to roam. They need to have habitat. They need to have companionship. They need to be able to mate. They need to be able to, you know, because there is emotion there and psychology as well. You know, anyone who's spent any significant amount of time with an animal knows that they aren't simple creatures. We have to kind of prepare ourselves to kind of like phase things out. And part of that is creating areas where these animals can go and be part of society in a greater sense. And I mean, that is in a natural society. And we're seeing it already. People are pushing away from the old ideals. I mean, more and more, I myself became vegan, and I never thought I would be vegan. And off the back of me, I've convinced at least 7 or 8 people to become vegan. It comes from encouragement. It comes from transitioning people away. Heartstone is an example, and I'm hoping that many people will follow it. And we'll start seeing more sanctuaries. We should have a sanctuary in every county. Heartstone is at its early stages. The biggest problem is financial. So if there's any viewers or readers who are going to see this and be inspired, the money that is donated is spent directly on the animals. What we would like to see is an expansion, creating habitats, because that's how animals come back. That's how animals flourish. I'd like to see it expand. I would like to see more people maybe going to visit it, and perhaps there can be a way of monetizing it in a way that it will benefit the work. But I also feel that people need to be involved with it. At least, they need to be able to see it and see that there's an alternative. And I think Heartstone's a good example of how that could work.
So just to end, Randal, can I ask you, how can people support your project there in Dunsany and Heartstone itself?
Well, I would say at the moment, Heartstone definitely needs the most support. So I would say certainly if you have a few extra coins, if you have a little extra time, it's not just about money. It's about helping. It's about facilitating. It's about, anything that can be done to benefit the animals, whether it's donating some extra hay that you have, whether it's helping out on the farm, whether it's direct action is always the best. And if you're not in a means to do that and you have just a few extra shekels in your pocket, throw a few shekels. But if you're not, tell somebody else about it. Knowledge is power, and there's a lot of people with a lot of expertise who are, can offer some benefit, even just from supporting, on Facebook, on Instagram, because allowing the story of Heartstone and the story of Dunsany to get to a wider audience is the first step in creating ideas. We in Ireland deserve a lot more. Some of my biggest supporters are the old people who used to remember Ireland before the motorways and the trains and the concrete everywhere. We had a ranger here who used to control the deer when it first started, when I first took over before I went vegan. And then he unfortunately he died during the lockdown. And I was speaking to his family, and the family said to me, he spent his whole career shooting things and controlling animals. And the last few years since he stayed at Dunsany and started getting involved with the rewilding, he said to his wife, "It's been my whole life killing things, and now I just want things to live." And that's the magic of what I'm talking about. It's not about leading people. It's about showing people a possibility of something else or something better that I believe in. And that's what every person in my position should be thinking about, because this isn't about me. It's not even about the next generation. It's about 4 generations from now. It's about what kind of world do we want to live in. And the thing is that if people like myself aren't going to step up, then there's no point.
I just can be here listening to you for hours.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, really, and for the work that you're doing. Absolutely.
I'm so glad that you tolerated me for this interview. But listen, thank you so much, and spread the word, because I think this is good stuff that we're doing here. And Ireland should be a leading country in this, because our country is green, or at least it's supposed to be. So we should be doing it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much for the opportunity, guys. And listen, have a great weekend.
You too.